to the P's and Q's podcast. I'm your host, Quené, Forée, and I'm living my best life. And I want to help you live your best life. On today's episode, I have a very special guest. I'm so excited. She is my dear, dear mermaid sister and a queen walking on this earth. She is a Grammy Award nominated singer, songwriter, humanitarian, and fellow mermaid sister, Melky Jean. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my sister, thank you so much for being here to shine your light with my audience. I'm so excited. They are in store for a treat. You have been such an inspiration, such a guide, and a love in my life, especially during one of the hardest times in my life.
I know.
And I thank you for just loving me and seeing me through with all your wisdom and your guidance.
I would have it no other way, darling. You are a light, you know, my sister, my goddess queen, and I'm happy to be here.
Oh my goodness, y'all. Okay. But you know, before we get into some topics, we have to do our 3 fun facts.
Okay.
All right. So today we'll do 2 fun facts because I'll do one and then we'll have Melky do one.
Okay.
So, one fun fact about me, I introduced you as a mermaid. We're mermaid queens. And
Yes.
people are like, what does that mean?
Yes.
Well, for me, it means, one, I love the water. I am I could live underwater, pretty much, basically. Yeah. And mermaids represent to me the freedom and the feminine, divine energy that we embody and allowing ourselves to express, to experience, and to love fully.
I love that.
Yeah. Okay.
So I consider myself a mermaid as well. And it's funny because I tell people all the time that as a woman, you come into a place in your life, or at least you should, when you know that you're a woman. You know, I heard someone once say that, there's a woman in the presence, you're in the presence of a woman when she enters the room, because the room changes. And I feel like that's what being a mermaid is for me, you know?
Yeah.
Is that when the mermaids come through and we're in the building,
When we pull up.
you know.
Why'd I just get goosebumps?
Because you know everywhere.
It's true. When we pull up, it's like, you know?
And you know what I love about us? Like, we're doing this podcast, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I think one of the coolest things is that we're really friends.
Yeah.
We're really friends. It's not industry. It's not about being fake. It's about being real. And that's what I love about our relationship.
Me too.
You know, you've seen me at some really down and sad times, and you've helped pull me up. And I've done the same for you. And that's what it's about.
That's
a lot of people talk about wanting to be better.
Yeah.
You know what I love about us?
Yeah.
We do the work.
We do the work.
And we challenge each other.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And we definitely
We
put
do.
each other like on the spot.
Yeah.
Like, yo, you could work on that.
Yeah, yeah. And we don't always agree.
Right.
But we always love.
But we love each other.
Yeah, and we come from a place of love.
Exactly.
So that's cool.
That's where it's at, my
Yeah,
love. We're
yeah.
so blessed.
You know, I always say that, like, you know, me and a few handful of friends that I have, we're real women empowerment.
Yeah.
Because we hear that all the time, women empowerment, women empowerment. But the same women are fighting with each other. You know, they're stealing each other's spouses.
Right.
You know, they're doing all of these things that have nothing to do with women empowerment, but they get on the gram and they're talking about Women Empowerment Wednesdays.
Supporting women. Right. Exactly. But they're not living it.
No.
And walking in that truth.
Right.
And that's so important, especially right now. We were talking about this earlier this week. There's a lot of conversations going on in the background from non-women,
Right.
let me say, about how women should operate.
Right.
How they should live their best lives.
Right. And what women are doing wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, as if.
As if.
You know, so I think it's interesting. And I think, I love the podcast world. I also think that it gives a microphone to everybody, which is not always a good thing, because sometimes the wrong people have the microphone and they're spreading a doctrine.
Yes.
Over millions of people, and they're, you know, essentially creating a lot of insecurities and doubts in women, especially women of color, because we're always the first ones to be attacked.
Right.
You know, and so there needs to be a level of protection for us as to what is said to us about us and how we should be.
Right.
Right.
And allowing us to be able to be authentic in our acknowledgement of that,
Facts.
our response to it,
Right.
and the way we live our lives. It's like society for a long time has been indoctrinating women into this theory that women do this, think this, walk this, look like this, and that's it.
Right.
If you don't fall within one of these frameworks, then, are you really successful as a woman?
Right. As if.
Right.
I'm a traditionalist in many ways, When you come to my house, I'm serving you,
Yes, Lord.
I'm cooking for you, I serve my husband.
Yes.
And we've talked about a lot of things like marriage. And I serve my husband, but I always say that I serve my husband because he serves me as well.
Yes.
It's so if someone sees me and they'll go, oh my God, Melky, she's so bomb, she's so submissive, she's so this, she's so that. But in actuality, if you look at the totality of my relationship, it's very much reciprocated.
Yeah.
And so you find people who are asking things of us that are not even giving that to us.
Right.
I'm
have
going
the
to,
expectation.
Right. I'm going to meet you where you are. And the thing is that, I think that there is something that is naturally women and naturally feminine.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of women would submit in the right circumstance.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think you should submit to everybody and anybody.
There we go.
What have you done to earn my submission?
That part.
If you show up first as a man, you'd be surprised.
How many women would be delighted to submit? And I think the word submit sometimes has its own connotation.
Yes.
Like, I ain't gonna submit to him, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, that is really being in the power of your true divine feminine, I think.
I think so.
When you can allow yourself to be completely comfortable in your divinity, we become a magnet. And we attract everything we require to ourselves. And so for us to serve our spouses and to create that space of breath for conversation and trust and safety is a place of power. But I think the key thing is what you said. It ain't for everybody.
It ain't for everybody. And that's the thing. It's like whenever, what scares me, whenever someone tries to take the ideology and paint one picture that everybody fits into. We all don't fit into that picture.
Right.
And I think that we have to start to tell each other to be real and be true to who you are.
Yes.
Deep down inside, one time I had heard something about your gut, that your gut was actually like the first part of evolution.
Oh.
And your gut never changed. It never grew arms and legs. It stayed your gut, and the rest of your body grew around of it, right?
Oh, that's cool.
And isn't that cool? Like to think of that idea, right?
Yeah.
And so your gut is like the purest thing in the world. How many times has your gut said, hey, you know what, this isn't the right decision? Or,
far too many.
This might not be what I want to do. This might not be what I want to say. Okay, I just met this person, but this doesn't feel right. There's something about this that doesn't feel good. And you can't put your finger on it. You can't say, okay, oh, I saw this, or no, it's something that you feel.
Yeah.
And that feeling, I always try to tell people to trust in that feeling, because when that gut comes up and it's like, girl, stop. But we oftentimes go, whatever. And we start to think with other things. Sometimes we think with our heart.
Right.
And that can get you in trouble.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think with our mind, and that can get you in trouble because sometimes you could think wrong.
And sometimes we think with our loins.
And sometimes you could think, girl.
Well,
hey.
But the gut.
The gut.
Yeah, trusting
the
that
gut.
instinct.
It just tells you. It'll tell you stop. And
Yes.
sometimes it'll tell you this is okay. This is all right.
This is okay, yeah.
And even if it feels okay and all right in your gut, and then you end up, maybe it's a situation and you get in a situation that your gut said, this is okay. And then you end up not in that situation. Maybe your gut knew that you needed to experience that to grow.
To have that experience and learning so that you can ascend, elevate, awaken.
Right. Get to where you need to be.
Yeah. Shit.
You can't get to where you need to be without really living or experiencing things. Right. So we need to stop looking at, I was talking to someone the other day, and they were like, I always had the idea of the one.
Like the one partner?
Yeah, the one person.
Yeah.
Like I'm always looking for the one. And I'm like, well, that's the problem right then and there. Sometimes it's the one for right now. It's the one for today. It's the one for this year. It's the one for this experience. But that doesn't mean that that's the one for a lifetime.
The one for this chapter
of your life.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
And we gotta say it's okay.
We gotta let people know it's okay. We gotta let ourselves know.
No, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yes.
That was a big part for me.
I know.
The divorce, you helped me with that a lot.
I know.
Just knowing that this is not a failure.
No, not at all.
Just because you're transitioning.
Right.
And everything you had is still such a beautiful gift.
It is. And
I learned a lot.
And divorce is always difficult,
Yeah.
And I find that it's difficult for women in another way. Because sometimes we internalize it and we wear it when the guys are able to just move on. Not all. I always say, I hate when people say all. Because there's no such thing.
There's no such thing, black and white.
No, there's no such thing. But I find that a lot of women, and I myself was a divorcee, that's why I can understand. I had got married when I was really young, but nonetheless, I know what it means to go through the process of being married and then having to not be married and have to deal with the paperwork and have to deal with the emotional idea of failure and success. And the fact of the matter is that, sometimes a marriage is just an extended boyfriend or extended girlfriend.
Yeah.
And paperwork.
And paperwork.
And it doesn't mean that you're not successful, the fact relationships are hard.
Woo-hoo.
If you could stay with somebody for a year, pat yourself on the back.
Girl.
6 months. A lot of relationships don't get past 6 months.
Yeah.
I always tell people, is this person still going to be around in a year? A lot of times they won't be, and then 2 years. So when you get through those hurdles, it's a success within itself. Because a lot of people can't do that.
Yeah. And they say that relationships are our biggest mirrors. They're here to shine the light on the things that we need to work on.
Shine a light on it.
Shine a light on it, honey. And if we're doing that work, then that's a success in and of itself.
Period.
Regardless of what happens with that relationship.
Yes.
We are doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yes, we need to be kinder to ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are so hard, and that's something that I had to learn. I couldn't deal with failures in my life. I couldn't deal with what I thought were failures in my life, or moments where I felt like I could have been a better version of myself, or I could have done something better. And I found that I was being so hard on myself that I was dragging myself into a depression. I was dragging myself into a place of self-doubt, into a place of self-loathing.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that there's this rock and roll song that says it's only life after all. I can't remember who sings it, but it's life. It's only life after all.
After all. And you're a high performer. You're extraordinarily successful. Will you tell my audience a little bit about what you do? Because you are. And so I get that. You have a lot of eyes on you.
Yeah.
You have a lot going on with your family.
Yeah, for sure.
All of that. So I understand the pressure. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about what you do. And then I'm going to ask you how you started being kinder to yourself and some of the things that you do.
Well, what I do for work and what I do for love are two totally different things. Like my passion has to be the Karma Foundation, which is an organization I started about 17 years ago, where we work with women and children all over the world. It started off in Haiti, but we've done work in Africa, South America, of course. A shout out to Newark, New Jersey, Big City. So we like to do programs that help with uplifting women and uplifting children, and programs that deal with self-esteem. Of course, we do things like when Haiti had the earthquake, we had people on the ground already.
Wow.
Because we were there years before the earthquake happened, and so we were able to do stuff like basic humanitarian stuff, right?
Yeah.
Basic aid. If an earthquake happens or a fire happens, people need what? Water, shelter, food.
That's right.
So, we started off doing a lot of stuff like that, but then we've donated over 250,000 pairs of shoes.
Wow.
We've done hundreds of makeovers, and makeovers are so fun for me. We just recently did a senior makeover in North Miami, which was our first ever senior makeover.
Oh.
And it was so interesting because we try to deal with women who feel like they don't have a voice. And sometimes we find that those are women who have been abused domestically, mentally, spiritually. They're made to feel as if, they don't matter. And this is funny, right? And I was having this debate where, for some reason, and we have to change this, and it's starting to change. This is why I love the hip-hop generation.
Yeah.
Where when men get older, it's supposed to be okay and debonair.
Yes.
A man at any age can be seen as viable, as attractive, as sexy.
Yes.
But for a long time, women, once you turned to a certain age, it was just kind of like, well, That's it.
Pack up for next time.
Come on.
Real talk.
And so it's like we have to come to a point where, and this is why the senior makeovers were so important to me, where we were dealing with women who were 80, 75, all of them were over 60. And the light and joy that came to their faces when we did their makeup, and we did their hair, and we dressed them to the nines, and then they walked the runway.
Honey.
There was this one woman, Norma, and I'll send you a video of her. She was turning 81 the following day. And she was, walking on her crutches, and she would just stop, and then she would go, shimmy, shimmy, shimmy.
Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy.
Shimmy,
Norma.
shimmy. And let me tell you, every time she just brightened up our day.
Wow.
And my partner, at one point, we all became very emotional. And for me, I became emotional because my mom helped me with the makeovers. Oh. And my mom was a super religious, super Christian Caribbean mom, who, never wears makeup and, doesn't wear pants. It's like, this is how I grew up. I grew up as a Nazarene. Mm-hmm. And we convinced her to walk down the runway. And when she walked from the back, I literally could not hold my emotions, because during COVID, we almost lost her. Mm-hmm. She was in a coma for like 3 days, and she fought for her life. And when I saw her coming, it was just a moment for me where I lost it.
Yeah. And
then at one point, my partner, a woman by the name of Simone, who owns a natural beauty salon here called Natural Trendsetters out here in Florida, she just became super emotional. And I realized when I was speaking to her, she had just recently lost her mother over the past year. Oh. And her mother was of that age. And it was crazy because it being my first time doing the senior makeovers, I was really nervous because I didn't know what to expect. And there's such a respect that I have for our elders.
Yes.
That's just part of our culture.
Yes.
And I wanted to get it right. And so I was on the phone with these mommies every day. It was hilarious.
Oh my God.
I was calling them. I was like, I'm Melky with the Karma Foundation. They had no idea that I was this famous singer or that I was a writer or anything about my family. Mm-hmm. And then it was, some of them would talk to their children and they'd be like, yeah, it's Melky. And they'd be like, who? Melky Sedek, Melky Jean? No way. And then one of them was like, I didn't know you was a famous singer. And I was like, I'm not famous.
Like,
I'm like, I'm not a famous singer. I said, today I'm just your daughter.
That's it.
So it was just really dope, So for me, giving back it's not an Instagram moment for me. It's not fluff for me. It's really what I know that I was on this world to do. I don't have any biological children of my own, but I have thousands of children that I've taken care of. And people always go, Melky, you would be the bomb mom. When are you going to have a kid? And I'm like, do you know how many children I have?
Yeah. How many kids I actually have without having to have stretch marks?
Hello.
Listen.
And that's another thing too. There's this whole ideology of what makes a woman.
Right.
And there's so many women out here that are making the decision not to have children.
Yeah.
There's so many women out here that can't have children.
Yeah.
And we have to stop making those women feel like having children is the only thing, or getting married is the only thing that solidifies you as a woman.
Right.
Ladies,
we have other ways we can define ourselves.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes, and you have to choose what that is for you. You can't let someone else put that on you. It's just not fair.
Not a woman or a non-woman.
Exactly.
We'll have to say that out loud.
Yes.
Because there are some conversations going on that these young women coming up are probably listening to and feeling like, oh, well, in order for me to define my success, I have to have a husband,
right.
I have to have a baby,
right.
and if I do that, then I'm winning at life.
Right.
And if that's what you want to do, then that's great.
Go ahead.
But there are so many infinite possibilities, and we've been told for a long time about what we should do, and I think it's time for us to get back to the true history of women.
Come on.
And we
are
we are the givers of all life and
Absolutely.
wisdom.
Absolutely.
Here on this plane.
Yep.
That's why we're entrusted with this great responsibility and this great gift. Mm-hmm. And connecting back with our truth and connecting back with our sisterhood.
Yep.
And giving ourselves as platforms to have these conversations and being vulnerable and open and honest with each other and supporting each other through that truth.
Yep.
So importante.
Very much so.
See, mommy.
Yes, Sister Queen, yes.
Hey. So you being a successful, famous singer and writer and everything that you have going on with your career, and then you being here at home and being so balanced. You were talking earlier about how you balance all of that and how you give yourself grace.
Yeah, whew, that word grace,
Yeah.
you know, is so important. And it's taken me a long time. You know, I've always been the person that's been available for everyone else. I've always been the, which I love doing. I've always been able to counsel other people. I have this rare gift of understanding people and feeling them. I think that's what keeps me creative. That's why I can always write.
Yeah.
Because I'm not always writing because I feel it. I'm writing oftentimes because I feel you.
Oh,
you know?
Your empathy writing?
Yes. You know, because if you sit down and you tell me your experience, I'm 9 times out of 10 going to feel it. And when I feel it very, very profoundly, you know, and in a deep way. So when I write, it's not just for me.
Yeah.
You know, so with everything that I do, the writing is my therapy.
Yeah.
You know, it allows me to release. But for a long time, I was very hard on myself. I was easier on everybody else. It was easy for me to forgive everyone else.
Oh.
But it was so hard for me to forgive myself.
Yeah.
You know, and to accept. I think acceptance was a big part of me coming into my feminine glory, of being able to accept that I am where I am because of the decisions that I made. There were no right decisions. There were no wrong decisions. This was all part of my journey.
Yes.
So I stopped, kicking myself in the ass if I did something. I remember doing this performance where it wasn't my best performance. And it wasn't my best performance for so many reasons. I think as an artist, I forgot to take the advice that Mr. Howard had given me. And Mr. Howard had said to me, when I was in high school, I had a sing group. And it was an all-female a cappella sing group that I had started at the Newark Performing School of the Arts.
Oh.
And at one point, someone had asked me if I would bring the group to do the Apollo Theater.
Oh.
And my then music teacher, who was such an inspiration in my life, he said to me, no. And I said, what you mean? Like, we're going to do the Apollo? He said, you're looking for justification in the wrong places.
Oh.
He said, sometimes you go and you do something as an artist and as a creative that is not even what you're supposed to do.
Oh, wow.
You go, you have to find your place in your space. And so I remember, just being upset that this performance wasn't the greatest performance. And, I had people in my team that was just like, you really dropped the ball on that. So let me tell you, when you hear that and you're an artist and you're a creative person and you're like, yo, I really dropped the ball on it. What people don't understand is that someone can just put that out into the universe and say that to you, but you wear it.
Yeah.
You
if
hold
you put it on.
You hold it and you're just like, oh my goodness, how could I do that? And I found myself in this cycle that wasn't good for me mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And then when I really looked back, I was like, wait a minute, this wasn't right, this wasn't right, this wasn't what you asked for, this wasn't your space. But yet you put yourself in that space for all the wrong reasons. And so now you need to own that. And then the next performance I did was just ridiculous. So it was just like, it reminded me of who I was, but you can't, sometimes you have to be reminded of who you are by having these moments that you're not the greatest.
Yeah.
So that, number one, they're humbling.
Yes.
And one thing that I will say is, I think that humility is something that is missing. And people feel like, oh, you could still be like, yo, I'm the bomb, I'm the shit, I'm that bitch. You could still be that and still be humble.
Yes.
Because humble has to do with being even humble with yourself.
Yes.
Because when no one is around, you're with yourself.
Yes.
And so I've had to give myself that grace and understanding that I don't have to be perfect every time, I don't have to be the perfect wife that figures everything out all the time. I don't have to be the perfect sister, the perfect daughter, the perfect mother. I don't have to be perfect at anything except loving me.
Ooh. Come on. Drop them jewels. I can't stop having goosebumps.
When the truth just has a certain ring to it.
Yeah.
And it should make you feel. In a world where people try to make us all feel the same way or not acknowledge our feelings. The truth has a ring to it, and it makes you feel.
Oh, man, it's ringing through my entire body right now. You always do that to me, though. Wow, this is so special, my darling. You're perfect to me.
And you're perfect to me.
Thank you, my love. I love you.
I love you too.
As you're spending this time with yourself, is that how you love on yourself? You talk to yourself?
I love on myself by just allowing myself to just be. I don't put any restrictions on me. I don't force myself to have to show up for anything other than me. You know.
Right now, you're doing your cleanses that you do regularly.
Yeah.
And I remember when we first met, and you were telling me about one of these cleanses, and you said, I'm doing a spiritual cleanse. And what that meant was also, you do not force yourself into any situation that's not aligned spiritually, whether that's spending time with someone that you love and care about. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Nope.
It's not in alignment. Whether it's foods that you were eating, you were cutting them out. You're like, look, I like that, but it's not in alignment right now.
Nope.
I'm not doing that. Whatever it was,
Yeah.
You were just unapologetically, like, nah.
And then the people who love me, like my true friends, like I'm getting hot.
I know. Because you're fire, baby.
Because I'm fire, baby.
That's right.
My true friends know that there's always going to be a period, a few times a year, where I kind of have to disconnect. Oftentimes, whether it's work, whether it's play, whether it's the relationships that we have, we end up having to, for example, go out to eat with our friends. Go out to eat, we're probably going to wind up eating a lot, drinking a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we do this just because, right? So when you find yourself in cycles where you're just doing something just because, you need to take a pause. And I like to say, I want to move at my own pace. I need to move at my own pace. Whenever I feel like I need to move at my own pace, I stop and I move at my own pace.
Simple.
And I don't make, like my husband will know, he'll be like, oh, you on your shit. I'll be like, yep. I'm on my shit.
That's
you know,
it.
he knows that it takes a lot to get me out of my shit. Because if I don't take that time for me, nobody's going to give it to me.
Right.
There's always going to be an event. There's always going to be a party. There's always going to be someone who needs to borrow money. There's always going to be someone who needs to suck your energy. Because your energy has to be protected at all costs.
At all costs.
You have to realize that whether it's the children, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your mom, your dad, whoever it is in your life, your friends, that whatever it is that they want from you, it could wait.
Yeah.
You have to take time for you to come first and be okay with it.
Yes.
And that's what I had to do, because at one point it will start to physically affect you. And so I was physically being affected by just being an ear, a heart, a voice for everybody else.
Yeah.
When you find you're at that place, stop, move at your own pace. Make no apologies.
Yes.
No need to explain anything to anybody. The people who love you will understand, because love is understanding.
Yes.
So if someone doesn't understand that you need that for you, bye.
Bye.
You Joe.
See you and I don't see you. Real talk.
You know?
Yeah, serious. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really important. Wow. You're so special.
You too, mommy.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you for being here to have this conversation with
Absolutely.
the P's and Q's podcast audience. Yo, this is my sister, y'all.
Facts.
I'm so excited. When God gave me the vision for this podcast, you were one of the first names that I wrote down, because your light is so bright and pure and beautiful, and you just have so much wisdom and love to give. And I thank you for sharing it with us.
Well, thank you, Quené. And I'm going to tell you, with this P's and Q's podcast, honey, it is the bomb.
Hey.
And you have so many things that are coming your way. Because I know you. Yeah. And I know the light that you are and how it is necessary. You know, you're not just a pretty face or a pretty mermaid. You're really just a special human being. And I love you, and I'm so happy to call you my sister.
Oh, thank you, my love. I love you too.
I love you,
my baby. Go check out my girl, Melky Jean. Her links will be posted in the description. Show her some love. Connect with her. Stay in touch with her. Share your love. Share your stories with her. And I love you guys so much. On to the next.